Hey guys, how are we today? Hey Aaron, it's good to see you. How are you? Brad, how are you? It's good to see you. Guys, they have switched up the countdown music on here and I don't like when my stuff gets switched up on me. I don't know if I dig that or not. Hey B Crumbs, how are you? It's good to see you. It's good to see all you guys. Um, First, I wanted to show you guys about Tess Mac told B Crumbs, and B Crumbs told me about the little lady that I shared on my community tab, Miss Belva, you guys, and she's still missing. And it's been, and um, Wolfie helped me notice that they had the wrong date of when she was last seen on the poster that I shared. So she actually hasn't been seen since February the 6th. And yeah, Aaron, me too. But there is some good news. Chaos Divers is in the area and they have marked off a lot of the waterways, so it's good to know where she isn't, and it's really good that she hasn't been found there. And it's good because they're staying another day. They were only supposed to stay 2 days and they ended up they're staying today too. But this is hang on just 1 second. So this is her, and she's 95 years old, you guys, a little bitty lady, 5'2", and it says weight 60 to 70 pounds, but I just don't see. That's teeny tiny. But another thing to remember, guys, is this is this is a car like hers, not her car, but a car like hers. And they have fixed the license plate. This is what her license plate really does look like. It says Ben Eddings Cadillac. And then on the back, it's really good to have this in your brain. It's a Korean war veteran license plate. And it's USA Dog Inn. That's how I remembered that. So everybody can stick that in their brains for sure. So if you see somebody driving this car specifically, then and let me show you guys. I do want to play this video that her family is speaking about her too. But also, this is the exact timelines, and it's Mountain Home, Arkansas. So, and it goes when she was seen last, but she was seen at 9 o'clock in the morning paying her electric bill, and then she drove all this time, and she was last seen at 4:51 passing Southside High School. So she was driving all day long, basically, guys, and I don't know. I just feel really bad about it. And they said that she hasn't been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or anything like that. Let me get this. Let me get that video up that I wanted to show you guys. Oh, and I changed we got Coco back too on our, and we got some kittens over here too. But we're going to get us a different one soon. I just couldn't. I got my window open today, and we're all about the sun and spring, so we couldn't be having the fall fireplace today. Let me see. Hey, Meat Noodle, how are you? It's good to see you. Yeah, me too, Brad. Me too. We got to wait for the commercial, and this one is a long one. 12 more seconds, guys.
Call or go to joinaarp.org now. A4 News at 6. In the air, on land, and over the water, the search for Belva Day continues. The 95-year-old woman from Mountain Home has been missing now for over 2 weeks.
She was last seen driving after paying her electric bill on February 6th. And since that Thursday, police have used surveillance cameras to track her path to Batesville. Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Laura Monteverdi.
Well, good evening. I'm Bob Clausen. Neil Zarang joining us now live from the White River in Jackson County. Neil, tell us why you're at that specific location.
Bob, Laura, we're a long way from Mountain Home, where she is from, but we are at this location because we were with a search and recovery team, Chaos Divers. You know, I can see for miles across the land, but I can only see a few inches into the deep water. So they have equipment that can see all the way to the bottom.
You see every little pebble, every little rock.
Hours of searching, and the hope is always that nothing is found.
Hopefully we can bring her home safely. If not, then it's a sad day, but at least we can give her answers.
Belva Day and her beige Buick LeSabre may not be in the water, but with police.
Wolfie, and I think you missed it at the beginning, but they said that they did a live stream last night that I watched, Chaos Divers, and they said they were staying another day today. They were only supposed to stay 2 days, but they're staying another day to knock out some more of the waterways, so that's really good. I do too, neat. They seem like really good peeps.
Police verifying her vehicle cited in Jeep and other unverified sightings ending in Batesville. They think it's the best way to take the search a bit deeper.
Just a heartfelt thank you to everybody that is looking, that has looked, that is searching the rivers, that has been up in the helicopters. I mean, our family, we just can't thank you enough.
Patty Aids says if anyone wants to help her mom, what would help most is not just saying you think you saw Belva's car, but reporting it to police.
Every day we wake up and pray we get an answer. We pray she comes home. But every day that goes by that we don't hear anything, that she doesn't come home, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. This is a horrible thing for a family to go through.
Patty says this blindsided the family, and while she's second-guessing if she should have taken her independent parents' keys away.
That part went out on me earlier, too. That part skipped when I was watching it on my phone, so it must be there. But look at her, guys. Bless her heart. She looks like one of those, like my mama, where you had to eat even if you wasn't hungry. Absolutely, you might as well just eat and not fight about it, Bless her.
GPS, no phone. I mean, she could be lost. She could be just still wandering, in the streets and driving around. We don't know exactly where she's at.
That license plate, very memorable, USA dog, that's DOGN. And if it is in the water, we'll have one more day of search. Chaos Diving will be out here. Chaos Divers has found over 500 vehicles and 19 remains over the years. Reporting live in Newport, Neil Zarang, KRK4 News.
They did say that they found 2 cars, and they knew that those 2 cars were down in one waterway that they were looking for, and but those were the only 2 they found there. And they said that they couldn't get down one ramp to get their boat in because it was so muddy, but the firefighters even helped them spray the boat ramp off so that they could get put their boat in. So people are really, really helping them, and I'm really, really thankful for that, guys. And I'll keep an update. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Brad. At least she's not in the water so far. That did cross my mind first thing when I was telling Wolfie when I seen that she hadn't been found. That was first thing on my mind, especially if they hadn't found her car broken down or stolen or anything. That's possibly where she could be at. So guys, please, I'll keep you updated about that, and please keep her in your prayers, you guys. And keep an eye on my community tab. And remember, this is what her license plate looks like. USA DOGN. And then her car has this license plate on the front, being Eddings Cadillac. Yeah, and they said this isn't her car, but they made it like her car, and it has those hubcaps on the side, and it also has an XM antenna on the back, if you can see it right there. Yeah. She had driven a long way that whole day, so it's very, very confusing. Hey, hippie chick, good afternoon. How are you? Are you out on your porch today? I've got my window open, and it's really nice outside. I think it's about 70 degrees. So it's really nice outside today in the holler. Oh. Okay, guys. So today what we're here to talk about is I was telling B Crumbs that this is a tragedy. Definitely 3 innocent people lost their lives, but it's good, and I'm excited because law enforcement is actually taking accountability. After the 3 Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 days after this tragedy, law enforcement had already suspended 7 deputies. And he said the sheriff, his name is Gregory Tony, and he said that these people are definitely going to lose their job. And one of the deputies had even been there 28 years. And it was sergeants, lieutenants, deputies. So I am excited for that. Oh, hippie, so it's a little bit hotter your way, huh? Yeah, so I'm excited for that. So hopefully other law enforcement agencies can see what they're implementing here and can so that these things like this don't happen again. So let me show you guys. Let me start from the beginning. It's Mary. Oh, you guys, also Sophia Franklin. Remember we talked about her last week. 16 years old, 3 months pregnant, with that 40-year-old loser bastard Gary Day. Well, she still hasn't been found. Neither one of them have been found. And so please keep your eye out for her. This is her, remember? And this is the car that we're looking for in this instance. And it could have an Arkansas plate or a Pennsylvania plate. Those 2 plates right there. Her mama did do an interview. We might take a look at that at the end if we have time. But I was hoping I could give good updates about her, that she was found and her baby safe, and him in prison for a very long time, but not yet. But we're not losing hope on that one. Okay, so today, you guys. Oh, and I want to tell you guys. First, I'll show you guys 4-year-old Seraphine. She is safe. I want to tell you guys that first. But she is the hero. She's the hero in all of this. And it will break your heart what she lived through. But she is absolutely the hero. So I want to tell you guys, she is fine first. She's the one that had that there was an Amber Alert out for. So, yep. So she was found safe. But this is her mama, Mary Gingles. She was 34 years old. And she was in 2000, let me see here, June 2016 to June 2020, she was in the Army, and she didn't have any deployments, and she was a captain when she left the Army. Everybody said that, and also, you guys, I couldn't find a whole lot personally about the victims, but I will share with you guys what I have found. And, so she met Nathan in 2016. They married in 2018, and then in 2020 is when she got pregnant with Seraphine. and they returned to the States. They lived in Germany for a little while and had Seraphine, and then they returned to the States in 2023 and were renting a house in Tamarack, Florida. And so Nathan was also in a Signal Corps officer in the regular Army from 2011 to January 2019. This is him, and he is the perpetrator in all of this, but I don't want to leave it on his mug too long. But so they met when they both were in the Army. Hey, Teacup Kraken, how are you? She is, Heather, absolutely beautiful. And so that they met each other when they were in the Army, and he did have a deployment to Afghanistan from July 2013 to January 2014. And I'm only mentioning this because his father-in-law, Mary's father, said that he was disabled from the Army, but he still had security clearance, and he was making around $187,000 a year with a military contractor serving Southern Command. So that was his job. So he was making quite a bit of money. And his father-in-law says that he shouldn't have had security clearance, and he's angry about a lot of this stuff. And you guys will be angry right along with him as I tell you some more. So this is her dad, 64-year-old David Ponzer. And he lived in Missouri, I think it was. But he had been coming down to Florida to stay with Mary because to help her with her divorce from Nathan. And she was scared of him, so her dad came down. And Nathan was such a vindictive person that he had told the landlord of the house where Mary had been living that her dad was staying there and he wasn't on the lease. So he would have to leave and go back home and come back every so often because he had been ratted out by Nathan. But he was coming to take care of his little girl like good dads do, you know? And so it was, hey, Thistle, how are you? It's good to see you. I know, Brad. I don't think I had them last year. They're hiding. They're camoed in. Yeah, so it was February 2024, and Nathan and Mary had been married for about 6 years at this time. 18. Yeah, about 6 years. And I couldn't get their divorce documents yet, or I couldn't get a lot of stuff. And B Crumbs is she was actually looking into the same case and the same time I was, and I didn't know. But so she's sent in for a lot of this stuff, and I told her that I hope that that they're transparent and do send out everything, you know, that people can get everything in this case. So when her dad came down in February of 2024, what I read, it said that she finally had the nerve to file an injunction against Nathan, and she filed for divorce 11 days later. And in the first injunction, I couldn't get it, but I'll tell you guys what it said. Let me read you a little bit of it. It said that Nathan was recently up all night snorting Adderall and was in a drug-induced state, acting bizarre in the morning, singing a made-up song about how he was going to kill the mother and get away with it and how no one would find her body. And she said, I live in constant fear of my husband. he will snort Adderall and stay up all night while Sarah and I try to sleep. He has left lines of crushed Adderall on his dresser before heading to work as an IT technician, earning $187,000 a year with a military contractor serving the Southern Command. If you try to leave, I will kill you, he told her more than once, she swore in court records. Because of Nathan's psychotic behavior, his multiple threats, his drug use, his multiple mini silenced firearms, and he was thought to have had about 20, and my impending divorce actions, I'm afraid Nathan will kill me and my daughter, she wrote in the petition for injunction. So she wrote that in February of 2024. And in July, she didn't file to I don't know the right word to for it to still go on and last longer. They came up with a parenting plan, and I think it was like called a no harmful parenting plan or something like that. Let me see if I can find it. A no harmful conduct order in July. And she said his weapons were seized by the Broward Sheriff's Office, and she was unsure if they were returned to him. And so I would like to find out all of that stuff to you guys, because we need to make sure that, although Broward County, that they did do something by suspending 7 people right after this, we need to keep them on their toes and make sure that they do everything. We need to fight for them and keep them truthful. But in late December, I do have that injunction, and so I want to read it to you guys. Hey, Music City Mom, how are you? It's good to see you. Okay, let me get us there, guys. Okay. Let me come back and get you guys. Okay. Let me see here. So she kind of did it. It's kind of from soonest to earlier. So I'll read you guys this part. It says, my husband has a history of domestic violence, and I saw a domestic violence injunction in February 2024. We negotiated a no harmful contact order in July, so I dropped the restraining order. My husband's stalking behaviors have increased recently, and I think he is aiming to kill me while he has access to the rental property where I reside. And that's another thing, you guys. And she wasn't wrong. Her lease ran out the end of February, and he took their life shortly before that. So I'll go and let's go forward, and I'll read them to you guys backwards to keep us in order, because this is the most recent, Monday, December 30th. So I'll go and read them to you guys the other way. So it starts with Tuesday, October 29th, around 4:20 p.m. I was on the phone with my attorney after a hearing regarding attorney's fees. She had gotten supplementary financial disclosure from Nathan's attorney, and we were discussing all the redacted items on each month. We had discussed it the day before, and we noted that one purchase was partially redacted, and the name of the company was HAPN. I looked up the company and saw it was an asset tracking service company, and she suggested I check my car for a tracker. I purchased my car after filing for divorce. It is not a marital asset, but my sole property. I found a tracker on my car. I Googled images of the tracker's HAPN offers, and it matched perfectly. It was obvious the label that would normally have the IMEI number was scratched off because you can see the outline of a rectangle and scratch marks on the device. I called the sheriff and told them I had the tracker, and they took an informational report online. Guys, also, I read that, hey Aries, how are you? I hope everything is well. Oh, that's okay, grateful middle-aged cat mama. Good to see you. And guys, I read that putting a tracker on somebody else's vehicle is a felony in Florida. I think I read that now. I don't have that in my notes. And listen to what happens when she calls. This will make you really mad too. I called the sheriff and told them I had the tracker, and they took an informational report online. Later, I received a letter saying there would be a status change to the informational report taken with negative results. I sent an email requesting a phone call with Deputy Raul Ortiz, and he set a date and time for a phone meeting. He did. I think she meant he did not answer my phone call on the specified date and time, nor did he call me back. So I sent a followed up with an email. He never responded to that follow-up email. I have the tracker. I have the statement where Nathan had purchased something from HAPN, and I have a court order specifying that he nor I will stalk nor harass the other person. Recently, another sheriff suggested I call again and ask what it will take to reopen the case, so I will follow up again after submitting this injunction. And then she left the case number. So that was Thursday, October 29th. And then it goes to November 2024. She says, I noticed my camera stopped giving me movement notifications. Since I had just recently set the cameras up, I thought perhaps I just didn't configure the settings correctly. But when I checked behind the cameras, the SD cards were missing. At the time, I thought I was being paranoid, and maybe I just took them out. So I replaced the SD cards, but made note of it. I should have called the sheriff when I noticed, but I didn't think Nathan was coming in the house in violation of the court order. I will check the footage on the SD cards Nathan left behind in the backpack to see if there is footage of his initial entry in there. So I don't know if I read it here, but she does find the backpack, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff inside. Neat Noodle says that poor woman tried so hard to protect herself and could get no help no matter how she tried. I know. And a domestic violence, I think it was a professor, said that, yeah, she did absolutely everything right and she couldn't have done anything else. So then it says December 5th, 2024, around 6 a.m. Seraphine told me that Daddy left her alone at night and told her he was riding a bike in the park. She told me that Daddy calls me bad and says he wants to stab me in the neck. Bless her heart. December 15th, 2024. Around 1:40 p.m., Seraphine and I were driving to the Museum of Discovery and Science. We were talking about her favorite dinosaurs, and she told me that she now likes dragons because Daddy bought her dragon pets. And she noted, he just wants to kill you, but he buys me dragon pets. I asked her to elaborate, and she says, Daddy just wants to make you die. What an evil bastard, you guys. To put his 4-year-old child through that. Come on. Vindictive. And, yeah, awful. Okay. Let me see here. So, Friday, December 27th. Around 2:47 p.m., Nathan entered the rental home in violation of a no harmful contact order we reached in July. According to the video camera footage, it looks like he brought in a backpack and a smaller bag worth of items. I later found the backpack he left in the garage. He was wearing gloves while going through the house. He took an extending folding ladder from the garage and took it outside. When I got home after viewing the footage, I looked for the ladder and found it on the side of the house, semi-hidden behind the bushes. Several windows upstairs were left unlocked and ajar. I called the sheriff's office around 3 p.m. on the day he entered the home when I noticed the security camera notification. Law enforcement responded to the house around 4 p.m. By that time, he had left. So let's see. And then Friday, December 27th, around 6:50 p.m., Nathan and I exchanged our daughter, Seraphine, at Starbucks. No words were exchanged in person at the Starbucks, and Seraphine started to cry when she saw me and held me tight. After she held me, I sat down at the Starbucks to wait a few minutes for Nathan to leave. After we sat down, Sarah told me quickly that Daddy calls you bad. She tells me this frequently, as it sounds like Nathan constantly tells her I am evil, bad, a demon, etc. When we got to the car to load up, she told me that Daddy left me alone again. He is trying to make you die. This is not the first time she has told me that Nathan tells her he is going to kill me, or even graphically describes how he wants to kill me. This is not surprising, since he has told me, if you ever leave me, I will kill you. And there's 2 more days we have here on this injunction, guys. Yep, something's definitely wrong with them. Neat. Sunday, December 29th, 2024, around 2:50 p.m. I was on the phone with my dad, and we were talking about how Nathan in the video footage left with less than he came with. My dad said there looked like an over-the-shoulder bag or backpack that he left in the garage, and that I should go check in there. I saw something black sticking up from a stack of big tote boxes and asked Dad if we left a lot of stuff up there, because I don't recall leaving much up there. He said not much, so I climbed to look inside and found the backpack that Nathan was wearing in the video. You guys, listen to this. This is where I have read all the crazy stuff that he left in there. I pulled it out and found a bunch of weird stuff to include nitrile gloves, giant plastic wrap, plastic restraints, watertight container with what looks like Adderall crushed and intact, alcohol, duct tape in a plastic bag, water bottle, battery in a plastic bag, battery connectors, moleskin notebook with a sticky note in it, small plastic wrap, microfiber cloths, rubber ball about the size of a mouth, contractor plastic bags, booties to go over shoes like nurses wear, hair nets like nurses wear in the operating room, cloth face mask, Band-Aids with Neosporin in plastic bag, new skin, liquid Band-Aid, more plastic restraints, and what I suspect are the missing SD cards from my security cameras in November. I ordered an SD card reader so I can view the footage, but they are the same brand as the SD cards I bought for my security camera that went missing in November. On the sticky note, inside the notepad, there are various notes, but on the bottom, there is a note that reads needle, air embolism, psych medications, waterboarding. Ela's shade. Nathan has needles easily accessible to him because he takes intravenous testosterone. I called the sheriff and made an informational report, and there's the report number. And there's 1 more day. Can you guys believe that? This sounds like a legit kill kit, you know? Like legit. And when we are going to watch the press conference from the Broward Sheriff's Office, and he does say there is definitely enough in December to charge Nathan and arrest him, and he don't know why they didn't. So it says Monday, December 30th, around 6:30 a.m. I now think Nathan took my second car key. I noticed it missing from the key hooks this morning, but thought maybe it was in one of my purses. I have looked in each of my purses now and in my car and have not found the key. I didn't notice Nathan taking it in the footage, but the key hook is out of frame on the cameras. I will call the sheriff again after I submit this domestic violence injunction, but wanted to note it. Okay, now let me see let's see. So then she says, this is not an exhaustive list of the concerning things Nathan has done, but his most recent and easily provable offenses. With Nathan's violent history, his flagrant disregard for rules or laws, and his telling our daughter that he is going to kill me, I am fearful for my life, and I think it is imminent that he will attempt to murder me. He has already taken the steps to prepare to murder me, but he is waiting for the opportune time. I think it is likely that without a restraining order, he will attempt this before the lease is up at the end of February. I do not know if he has previously owned guns with silencers back, but if he hasn't, that could explain why he is telling our daughter specifically that he wants to stab me and making notes of air emboli, as these are all easily obtainable means to kill me without his weapons. So she went through it, you guys, and I don't blame her for having her daddy to come, and I would feel a lot better with my dad around too. And Nathan couldn't even stand that, calling her landlord and trying to get her dad from being able to stay there too. There's one more person that I want to tell you about, guys, before we get to the bad part, and it is 36-year-old Andrew Ferrin. He was one of her neighbors, and he graduated, and he was a member of a fraternity, and he was going to school to be a real estate. To be in real estate, to get his license for that. And his uncle talks a lot about him and says that he was a really good fella. And you guys, he coached his nephew's, I think it was his nephew, okay, Jen, good to see you. How are you? He coached their ball team, you guys. What a good guy to even do that, you know? So he was her neighbor, and that morning around 6 o'clock, people started hearing, I think it was 4 gunshots, and they started making 911 calls, and we can listen to those, and and people say they hear a woman screaming, and then they hear more gunshots, and it is even on security camera, you guys. It is Mary going to different doors in the neighborhood, knocking and screaming, and Andrew was the one that let her in, and it ended up costing him his life. And so when the Broward County sheriffs come, I'm also going to read to you guys the arrest affidavit for Nathan, and it tells us more about it. But they end up finding her dad, David, on the back porch. He had been having coffee in his morning smoke, and he still had part of the coffee cup in his hand, and he was deceased. So they end up figuring out that Mary and Seraphine should be there too. So they put out an Amber Alert for those two. And it isn't until later that they find that Mary is in Andrew's house deceased. And you guys, it's come out too that Nathan walked with Seraphine right by the cops after they came there investigating the shootings and stuff. And I don't know if they had found her dad yet or not, but they even put it on the radio. There's this guy out here dressed in black with a 4-year-old barefoot, and they just let him go. So they end up tracing his phone to his apartment, but he's not there. So the flock cameras trace his car to a Walmart, and they sit outside, and Nathan and Seraphine come out where he is finally arrested. And okay, Aaron, no problem. So that's basically what happened, but we'll read exactly what happened here in a few minutes, but I want to play this video for you guys first. Let me see here.
Tragedy in Tamarack, a father accused of killing.
I'll share it with you guys too, so you can watch it later if you want to. Hey, Debbie, that's okay. How are you? It's good to see you.
Killing his ex-wife and father-in-law before kidnapping his own child. He now faces additional charges.
And we're also learning more about the victims tonight. Court documents showing that the parents had a troubled marriage with years of domestic violence issues.
We have live team coverage tonight as we're now hearing from loved ones of those killed.
And our coverage starts with Local 10's Terrell Forney. He is live in Tamarack with emotional reaction from the family. Terrell.
And this entire situation sparked a statewide Amber Alert. In the end, that 4-year-old girl was found unharmed, her father placed into cuffs and taken to jail. And tonight we are also hearing from a man who lost not just his brother, but also his niece in this triple shooting. He says it feels like his entire family is living a nightmare.
No words can explain it. I'll never get to talk to my brother again.
David Ponzer was staying in his daughter's Tamarack home to solely protect her from an estranged husband. But on Sunday morning, the 64-year-old was shot dead on the back patio. Investigators say at the hands of Nathan Gingles, who violated the terms of a restraining order. Gunshots and a woman's screams could be heard on this surveillance video.
Hey, NorCal, it's good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a bit. Yeah, guys, watch this, okay? I couldn't find just this surveillance camera, but watch. He is going to come by. Nathan's going to come by with Serafina, and you can hear her saying stuff, and they say that she's telling him to stop and stuff like that. They're going to show that in just 1 second.
Video after Mary Gingles ran to the doors of neighbors for help. And Nathan.
Did you hear her little voice, you guys? If that doesn't break your heart, I mean, big time. Yeah, guys, big trigger warning. Big one.
Trailing behind with their 4-year-old daughter, Seraphine, in tow for the terror.
She's behind him, and you could just hear her pleading for her dad to stop. Daddy, stop, don't do it.
It would all end with 3 lives lost on this residential block, including Mary and her father.
I'm so sad for my brother and my niece, and the other gentleman that lost his life wasn't even involved in anything. He just answered his door and was shot.
35-year-old Andrew Ferrin was that Good Samaritan who was also killed as he too tried to protect that woman from the gunman. Andrew's uncle speaking with Local 10.
Who lost a nephew, who lost his son. So it's very, very important that domestic violence is taken seriously.
On Monday, divers with the Broward Sheriff's Office searched the nearby canal where we're told they recovered the actual murder weapon used in the crime.
I want justice so bad for Mary.
I forgot to tell you guys that too. Yes, they did find the murder weapon. So when they confiscated his firearms and oh my gosh, you guys, we're gonna have to watch this. I just found it on my phone. More surveillance they must have recently put out. But when they confiscated his guns in February, I guess that they gave them back to him in July, and but there was another injunction in December, and they had a court date for that in March. But I'm thinking that I read somewhere that the judge did sign for the Broward County Sheriffs to confiscate his guns again, but obviously they didn't. So we'll listen to that and see what they say about that too.
Mary and David and the other victim.
So Frank speaking from his home in Colorado. Meanwhile, we know that little Seraphine, that 4-year-old girl, she is now in the custody of the Department of Children and Families, and her father is now facing a series of charges to include armed burglary, child abuse, child neglect, and kidnapping. We are live in Tamarack tonight. Terrell Forney, Local 10 News.
Just so heartbreaking. Terrell, thanks a lot. Our live team coverage continues with Local 10's Sanella Sabovic live in Fort Lauderdale tonight.
She has more on the shocking new details being revealed about the suspect. And Sanella, what do we know so far?
Well, Janice and Calvin, court records show a troubled marriage with a lengthy history of domestic violence. The suspect's estranged wife one day feared that he would kill her. Sadly, that happened yesterday. Nathan Gingles was arrested. He is here at the Broward County Main Jail, where he's facing several first-degree murder charges. 43-year-old Nathan Allen Gingles, in handcuffs, wearing a max custody inmate jumpsuit, appeared before a judge today for a dependency hearing in regards to his 4-year-old daughter, Seraphine Gingles.
You have no contact with the child. Do you understand, sir?
The hearing comes a day after Gingles is accused of kidnapping.
Yeah, he had to go to that for child custody, some kind of child custody court. And I always like to see the abusers in handcuffs and shackles and stuff like that. It makes me feel good, and I can't help it. It makes me feel really good that they can't do what they want. They've been doing what they want to their wives and children, but they can't do what they want anymore, and it makes me feel good. Yeah, Jim, that's very true. Very true.
Kidnapping a child, killing her mother, who is his estranged wife, Mary Catherine Gingles, along with her father and a neighbor in Tamarack Sunday morning. Gingles was not supposed to have any contact with his child or estranged wife. Court documents show a troubled marriage with domestic violence. Mary filed for divorce last February, claiming she was terrified of Nathan. She also filed an injunction for protection against domestic violence. Nathan is charged of violating that order. In Mary's own words, in her victim statement, she wrote, "He's saying that he was going to shoot me and there was nothing I could do about it." Elsewhere in the injunction, it states, "Because of Nathan's psychotic behavior, his multiple threats, his drug use, his many silenced firearms, and my impending divorce action, I'm afraid Nathan will kill me and my daughter." Mary's family members are devastated. Her uncle believes the system failed his niece and great niece.
Yes, sir. There's a huge...
That is very interesting. Grateful middle-aged cat mama says in Cali, the judge has to set a separate hearing to confirm they're turned in. They rarely do it and count on people filling out the form. DV advocates said they rarely check on the form. Well, they're making a step in the right direction, holding the separate hearing, but what good is that if they don't follow through? You know?
Huge paper trail. Nathan had violated his restraining order multiple times and entered the house. The law let them down. It was all preventable, 100% preventable.
And for now, the little girl remains in state custody. Gingles is expected to make another court appearance on March 5th.
I do want to tell you guys that I think that she is in state custody right now, but one of Mary's sisters is trying to get custody of her. Nathan wanted his family to get custody, but I hope, that the judge really, and I'm sure they do, really looks into it before they decide. Because she's been through so much, you guys. So that brings me to my next. Let's read the arrest affidavit. Let me get it pulled up, and then I'll come back and get you guys. B Crumbs helped me find this. She is so helpful. And you guys, I gotta tell you guys about this candy that B Crumbs bought me. She was telling me about it, and I was like, oh, I have to check that out, And then she had sent me a gift card in my email to buy me some of that candy, you guys, and it is so good. And it comes in this cute little tin, and I have to tell you guys about it. So, just like a side note, you know what I mean, before we listen to this, because this is going to be really bad, but it's called Cavendish and Harvey, and it's from Germany, and it's the strawberry drops, and then there's also raspberry and peach, and I like all of them. They're so good, you guys, and they come in a cute little tin. I'll have to show you guys. And I think my mama likes them, you guys, because the nutrition facts on the back, they're in German, so you don't know if how much sugar you're getting and stuff like that. So I think that's why she likes them. Grateful middle-aged cat mama says, my abuser lied to judge about his weapons, then told judge he had them turned in, yet no form and no consequences. I was terrified, and yet it's more cracks in the system. I'm so very sorry. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I know how difficult this is. I don't ever talk about what I've been through publicly, but I've been through a lot too, you guys. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that with us. The whole system needs reform. So let's read what this baby went through, you guys. She saw all 3 murders. I'll just go ahead and tell you guys that she saw all 3 of them. Let me see here. So yeah, that's why I thought about Big Crims, you guys, because she helped me find this. So let's see here. Let's get down to, so he's got 3 murders with a firearm, and then violation of a domestic violence protective injunction, interference with lawful custody, and then I think he was charged with child abuse and child neglect too, but it's not on this one. So this just goes, let's see here. Your affiant was previously assigned, this tells they're a certified law enforcement deputy with Broward Sheriff's Office and has been employed since 2015 and has been a detective since 2020 and is currently assigned to the Broward Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigation Division Homicide Unit. And it said your affiant was previously assigned to the Pompano Beach District Criminal Investigations Unit, whose primary function was property crime investigations. So this just goes through their, all of their background, who's writing this out. And it says on Sunday, February 16th, 2025, at approximately 6:02 a.m., Broward Sheriff's Office 911 emergency received a call of approximately 4 shots fired, followed by a female's voice screaming, "Oh my God." The caller continued to update dispatch that the aforesaid sound was possibly emitting from a residence to the south of his location. The caller remained on the line and advised he heard what sounded to him as a female crying. Moments later, he heard approximately 2 more gunshots. Broward Sheriff's Office Tamarack deputies arrived on scene and made contact with the caller, who reiterated the aforesaid information. They began to canvass the residential structure south of the caller's location when he entered into the backyard So he entered into Mary's backyard. It says it should be noted that while deputies were setting up a perimeter, Broward Sheriff's Office Road Patrol Sergeant Travis Allen was stationary on the southeast corner of North Plum Bay Parkway and East Grand Duke Circle, where he observed what appeared to him as an adult white male clad in all black clothing, including a black hooded sweatshirt and pants, walking south along East Grand Duke Circle with a so this is where he saw Nathan with Seraphine, with a small female child who was without shoes. This information was broadcast via radio. However, due to the unknown circumstances of the call, deputies continued to canvass the area. Yeah, I do that all the time, Jim. I know it's kind of distracting him. It says upon making entry into the target location backyard, Deputy Rogers encountered an adult white male subject lying laterally. So this is where he found David. On his right flank, unresponsive on the rear patio area. The male appeared to have a possible defect in the left side of his head and was saturated with blood. So trigger warning, you guys, big time. And if you have to step away, no problems whatsoever. I totally understand. The victim appeared to be clutching the handle only of a multicolored ceramic coffee cup and a red in color lighter. The remaining pieces of the cup were scattered on the pavement, along with 2 packs of 305 brand cigarettes. Based on the above described observations, Deputy Rogers pronounced the victim, identified as David, deceased at approximately 6:27 a.m. Deputies observed a spent casing to the west of the victim, along with a cellular phone and the rear sliding glass door completely ajar. Deputies entered the residence in order to conduct a protective sweep for any additional victims, and while inside, they noticed several gun lock boxes in the second-floor bedroom that appeared unlocked. Deputies also noticed that there were padlocks with keys inside the keyhole lying within close proximity to the aforesaid gun lockers. So I'm not sure if he got in and got her guns or his were still there or what. I'm not sure, but it says as the deputies began to back out of the residence, they noticed what appeared to be a DV injunction order lying on the kitchen table, displaying the name Nathan Gingles and case number. It should be noted that per the injunction, Nathan was not allowed to have contact with Mary or their daughter Seraphine. The residence and victim were secured by deputies pending the issuance of a search warrant. While standing in the front yard of the above target location, deputies were approached by a neighbor residing in the dwelling, advised that approximately 6:07 a.m. he was awoken by the sound of loud banging on his front door. When he went to check the surveillance footage at the front of his residence, he observed a white female subject whom he identified as his neighbor who resides at the target address, running to his door and knocking on it frantically. So he barely missed. If he would have gotten to the door in time, it would have been him who was deceased instead of Andrew. Seconds after, what appeared to be a subject clad in all black clothing and holding what appeared to be black in color firearm began to walk up driveway with a small shoeless female child behind. The female neighbor appears to notice the male behind her and immediately flees westbound. So she's trying to run away, and here he comes chasing after her with Seraphine. Yard and out of camera footage. The subject, clad in all black clothing, appears to raise the firearm to a high ready position before exiting camera coverage. It should be noted that according to Sergeant Allen, the male and female child depicted in the aforesaid surveillance footage resembled the male and child he witnessed walking from the victim's neighborhood. Let's see. Were not located when deputies arrived on scene. Based on the injunction order, a background search of Nathan Gingles was conducted and a phone number was located. So this is talking about how they're tracing his phone. The phone was pinging in the city of Lauderdale. So this tells how they went to the apartment complex and observed video footage of Nathan exiting his apartment and entering a silver vehicle. And then they tell what his vehicle is. And then that's when they entered the Amber Alert. And it says during the investigation, 2 years ago, he rented an apartment to Nathan, stated he knew them to have one child in common, and he was notified by Nathan that he was divorcing Mary and that he would be moving out of the property. So he positively identified Nathan, and then it tells that the his license plate hit a reader at the Walmart, and that's where Nathan was apprehended while toward his vehicle in the parking lot. Sarah was placed with deputies. Nathan and the daughter were transported to the public safety building to be interviewed. Let's see. So it says, while deputies were canvassing the area, they entered a residence located. Upon entry into the residence, they discovered 2 victims with apparent gunshot wounds. So this was Mary and Andrew. One of the victims was identified, so it identifies both of them, and they were pronounced dead on scene. It said she was running into Andrew's house while being chased by the suspect carrying the firearm. The suspect and the child followed into the residence. Oh my gosh, you guys, it hits me every time that I look at this. So Nathan brought Sarah into there and did what he did. So this is talking about when the special victims detective speaks with Sarah and to what had occurred. So they qualified Sarah, which established she knew the difference between a truth and a lie. And it says she advised she was sitting on the brown couch in her living room when her father, Nathan, came to the back door of her home and shot her grandfather with a long black gun. Sarah said she saw her grandfather and her grandfather's cigarettes lying on the ground of the back patio. She confirmed her mother's name was Mary, her father's name was Nathan, and she referred to her grandfather as Grandpa Dave. I asked Sarah if her father said anything before he killed her grandfather, to which she replied her father told her grandfather, bye-bye. It should be noted that video surveillance from the area captured the suspect holding an object that was a handgun shaped with a long, extended barrel. It should be noted that Nathan also is known to own firearm noise suppressors. It said on February 9th, 2024, Nathan surrendered his firearms and ammunition, but on September 3rd, 2024, he made a police report stating that he received the firearms he originally surrendered and advised that 3 silencers were not returned to him. And the deputy said, well, those 3 were never collected. So it looks like he had got them back sometime before September, because he's making a police report saying they stole his silencers. Oh, my goodness. So after her grandfather was killed, Sarah advised she witnessed her father chase her mother in the street. At one point, she said her mother and father began physically fighting on the ground. Sarah said while being chased, her mother was screaming for help and banged on the doors of several neighbors. She advised her mother ran into a house of a person she did not know. After running into the house, Sarah stated that her father shot her mother 100 times. I asked if her father shot anyone else in the house, and she said she did not know. It should be noted that these statements made by Sarah are corroborated by the surveillance footage collected by law enforcement. And it says it aligns with her account of her mother being chased by Nathan, running toward the front door area of the home while being chased by the subject with a gun. She was observed trailing behind. Audio at the same address recorded approximately 10 gunshots shortly after Nathan followed Mary toward the front door, although the visual of the front door is obscured by cars in the driveway. It says, while describing the events in totality, Sarah described the incident as her mother and grandfather as being defeated. So this baby, I was telling B-Crumbs, she knows her vocabulary is so strong, and she said as being defeated. Oh. Stated she wanted her mom to defeat her dad, but her dad won. Sarah said that while defeating her mother, Nathan wore all black, a black hat that fit tight on his head, a black safety shirt, black pants, black shoes with orange bottoms. Sarah said the only time she had seen her father wear the all black outfit was when he was defeating her mother today. Repeated multiple times during her statement that her father killed her grandpa and her mom by shooting them with a long black gun. Sarah said after her father shot her mother, her father put his gun in a black backpack, and while walking to his car, her father threw the backpack into a round black trash can. The gun and backpack have yet to be recovered. So that must be... Wonder if they got that one or they found something else in the pond in their subdivision. I don't know. It says Sarah advised she eventually went to a big box store with her father and that they drove to the store in her father's car. Sarah said she sat in the front seat while driving to the store. She stated that her father said she would never see her mother or grandfather again and that they would be going to visit her cousin in Texas. And this just tells what they found. During a search of, so this is when they're searching Andrew's house, 10 fired 9mm casings were located in the northernmost bedroom. Upon initial physical examination on scene, Andrew was lying on his bed covered in a blanket and holding a vape cartridge. Had visible defects to left ring finger, right thumb, and right cheek. And I think it's Mary was lying on the floor in the interior-most area of the bedroom under the bedroom window. She had visible defects to her right eye, left upper arm, right jawline, the top of her right shoulder, left thumb, and left ear face area. In addition, had what appeared to be 2 taser prongs under her right shoulder blade and near her right lower flank. So he tased her too and did all this. Oh my goodness, you guys. Says in an attempt to seek refuge, Mary fled into a neighbor's residence. Upon entering the neighbor's residence, Nathan followed and not only shot her multiple times, but also the innocent and unsuspecting resident Andrew. It should be noted that Sarah was following behind Nathan and followed Nathan and Mary into Andrew's residence and was present for the murder of Mary and Andrew. So she was present for all 3 of those murders, you guys. So now that we know what happened, I want to play for you guys the press conference that the Broward County Sheriff's Office did 3 days after the murder. So I think it was on a Wednesday that they did this. Let me get it pulled up and then I'll get you guys. Sorry, guys, it was a lot of reading today, but I think it was important to read what her domestic violence injunctions were, and then also what that baby saw, you guys. I'm not sharing yet. Hang on.
For coming out here at my request to be able to talk to you all a little bit more related to the triple homicide we had on the 16th. I want to start with this. The focal point today is giving you guys as clear as facts about what's happening, because I've already seen different stories come out. There's dialogue that this was an active shooter event and 7 people are suspended for active shooter failures. That's not the case. This was a domestic violence incident that happened to turn catastrophically bad, where an individual killed his wife and 2 individuals. In the process of looking at this internal affairs, in the process of looking at the homicide, we ended up opening up an internal affairs investigations to identify any shortcomings that may have occurred in the investigative process from the patrol standpoint and within the Detective Bureau assigned out in Tamarack. And that's why we're here. We're here to give you some clarity. For many of you in the room, you've been with me in this room for the last 6 years. And if you think back to 2019, one of the things I told this community was that when I know, they will know, and that this agency will remain a transparent and accountable organization, not just when we're doing things great, but when we come up short. And I'm going to start with that. It is clear, based on the preliminary information I've been able to acquire so far from our investigators within the Office of Inspector General and Internal Affairs, we fell short on this one. We fell short in a response in terms of how some of the patrol personnel had documented certain facts related to calls going back to December. It's clear that some of the investigative practices conducted by detectives was also a shortfall. And so as we're continuing to gather more facts on this, I'm going to end up back in front of this camera. Make no mistake about it, because I want to make sure this community continues to trust us and know that when we get this.
I think I turned it up a bit. These press conferences usually are hard to hear. I know Heather Brown, she says LE taking accountability, and it was only 3 days after the murders too, which was really surprising to me. But Neat said something. She said, I think it's far, far worse than, if they're doing it this quickly, then it's far, far worse than we think. And he just said, that is Sheriff Gregory Tony. And he just said that back in December, there's been dozens of calls that Mary made too. And I'm hoping that they release all those. Not that I want to hear them, but that for full transparency, And he's talking about what happened in December too. He's not going to talk a whole lot about what happened on the 16th, but what their part, what they did wrong. And I'm very happy for this.
Stuff wrong, people are going to be held accountable, and I'm going to step up and own every bit of it. So that's where we are at with this. Currently, there are 7 members, 7 total, that had some involvement with this investigation that are out on suspension right now on administrative leave until we can come to a final course of action in terms of this investigation. 1 is a lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and 4 deputies. Again, that's 1 lieutenant, 2 sergeants, 4 deputies. If you need names and things of that nature, you can get that from Vita after the conference. This is as short as I can get, and I'll roll over, and I think it's probably going to be more appropriate to take a few questions if I can. Keep in mind, I cannot disclose or start talking about the homicide investigation, and there's minimum things that I can present in terms of the internal affairs. We'll start here.
Sheriff, we have been told that Mary Gingles sought help from the Tamarack unit, and that little was offered. How do you respond to that?
I think that is an accurate assessment, and that we could have done more from what I've been able to analyze. I'll start with some of the first things that I've been able to witness and look at. From the original call for service that occurred back in October, because we're going way back, folks. We're not just looking at isolated incidents. We have a robust list of all the calls for services that occurred at that site location, either coming from the husband or coming from the wife or any other member that had any concern. What I witnessed in October, the first call that came out was related to a tracker. I saw some of your stories. You're accurate in that assessment. It's clear that we probably could have done more in that element, and that's what we're looking at in terms of what the deputies' responsibilities were at that time. These aren't shortcomings of.
Well, he kind of downplayed that, you guys. We just read that she tried to contact the sheriff's office about that tracker, and I think that was the time that he set a time for her to call back, and she did call back, and he didn't answer and didn't return her call. So she called back and they told her to contact somebody else. I believe that was the time. Remember, we just read about that. So that was kind of downplayed. That's not good. But we'll see what else he has to say.
Policies, procedures, training, or equipment. For my assessment, this is really just a shortcoming of performance, whether it be complacency, not taking a greater interest, and not doing their due diligence to make sure that they're documenting everything in an accurate manner, so that when it does arrive in the investigator's hand, they have a comprehensive report that will allow them to make better judgment and decisions. That's one start. The second aspect is a call in December
I don't know what happened, guys. Let me see what's going on. It went out.
Just seeing some of the things we found in the first couple hours. Remember,
Well, what the hell?
what the hell happened? Right here.
Well, he says he wants to know what the hell happened too.
Four houses from the scene of the crime, knowing shots had been fired, knowing people were calling all over. Is that not an active shooter situation when you know the shooting is occurring and you see a stranger, and he even says, it's unknown if it's related, I just find it kind of odd to walk around this time in the morning and she has no shoes on. Kind of odd, and he lets her go.
Well, I can tell you this. You mentioned Sergeant Allen, correct? He is also one that's currently suspended, and we're examining the totality of it. So for going back to the clarity, you asked one question that had two parts. The first part, no, it's not an active shooter incident. The way we classify active shooter incidents across this country under Department of Homeland Security protocols and the FBI, that would not qualify. The individual conducted a homicide, and then he stalked additional victims and killed them independently. But there wasn't an open air environment where he's actively shooting at random people that has no participating role in that particular criminal pattern that he took. Does that make sense? Here.
But what about his behavior? What about his performance there where the guy's walking by? Still a suspicious person.
The entire performance protocols is what we're looking at, and I don't want to jump ahead of this. Let me get to this real quick. There will be people that will lose their job over this. And I'm focused on making sure that they don't win a damn arbitration, because that happens too repeatedly in this profession where individuals out in other states, after I fire someone, determine that they want this person back in our county and in this community. I've dealt with that numerous times throughout my career here as a sheriff. And so I don't want to put out any information about the standing of this investigation, because when I have to make the final decision that members are going to be terminated, I don't want them back here.
Sheriff, is it safe to say that these 7 suspensions don't necessarily have to do with this specific incident that happened over this weekend, but as you mentioned, dating back all the way to October?
Roy, you bring thank you. That's a very good point. Okay. I hate that we have to talk about the shortcomings, because our tactical team out there, our SWAT team, did a remarkable job on the hostage rescue and saving that young kid's life and making sure it didn't escalate to a potential active shooter in any other environment. But we can't highlight that when I know there's other shortcomings. And because of those other shortcomings, it forced me to go far back as we can from the first few calls of service that came in. And as we're analyzing every single one of those calls going over a year ago, we're starting to see things that where we probably should have done better.
Sheriff, do you know where his gun's taken away? According to one of the documents, they were given to BSO. Do you know if the guns remained in BSO custody, or were his weapons ever returned?
Let me backtrack a little bit. Early on, there was a call for service in which we were able to come out there and seize all the weapons for an injunction violation. Then there was a second call for service that came out after the injunction was basically null and void because of the victim had elected to go in that path. And then those guns were returnable in the sense that he had the right to receive them. And then this rose into how many more other calls for services did he receive since the second time he received his weapons back, and whether or not there was enough evidence there for us to take him a second time and a third time or retain those weapons to keep him out of his hands.
There was definitely her injunction in December and her, oh my gosh, there was so much for them cause to take his weapons back. NorCal Jim says, typical DV response, sadly, call us after you've been unalived. Exactly, Jim. It makes me so freaking mad, so mad. But we have to look at the bright side that hopefully other agencies follow their lead like this,
Assault December 30th and issued and served him on January 8th said the weapons must be turned over to the sheriff as well as the CWP.
Again, we did not collect any of those weapons that I have in front of me right now in terms of the second injunction, but this is within this investigation. I want to know, why didn't we do it? Who was the detective assigned? Did they file the proper paperwork with the courts? These are all the processes that we're looking at. And like I said, if we have to do a round 2 or 3 of this, we most certainly are going to do it and tell the community what they need to hear. Where are we at? Let me go here, here, and then there.
Two parts. We received one document also where there was just sort of this aside. It said, father appeared to know the officers. Is that part of your investigation? And then past that?
I can tell you what I've witnessed so far. This isn't a matter of a relationship element or someone, a deputy, showing favor. This is just a matter of what I've seen of piss poor performance, complacency, and people not doing their due diligence to ensure that all the checks and balances that we put in place.
Piss poor performance and complacency. I see a lot of that too. Not in this situation, just this situation, but a lot of other situations too.
In this agency over the last 6 years, we have stopped several active shooter incidents. We've investigated over 5,000 cases. We divert over 2,500 individuals towards mental health care. We created a threat management division that works 24/7, 365. So there's enough resources in this agency to support every single law enforcement officer across this entire county beyond BSL, because we have supported and investigated hundreds of cases in Fort Lauderdale, Coconut Creek, and Margate. And so it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating for me to have to stand here and witness this and know that we're an organization who has had our trials from one active shooter event to the airport to Stoneman Douglas to one tragedy after the next. And this administration, we put forth everything necessary to be successful. And it's inexcusable that individuals fail to perform their job. And it's not an excuse within anything from administration to policies to protocols to training. It's just bullshit work by other officers.
Sheriff, what work would she have done, and what would you say to other women who are in fear and wonder if she couldn't get the help she needed? What can I do?
Look, I don't want the public to lose faith that we can't do this when we're handling thousands and thousands of calls per service. We were over 700,000 calls per services every year just in our law enforcement division. That is an indicator that we're going to be successful handling our cases. So to the public, to the community, to those mothers and women out there who think that we're going to drop the ball and this is a consistent pattern, know this: when we rectify this situation, I'm going to send the fear of God amongst this entire agency to make damn sure we don't do this again.
Bear, I'm so very sorry. You have our sincerest condolences. That's something like what happened in this situation. Little Seraphine was only 4 years old, and she saw three murders: her mama, her papa, and a neighbor who wasn't related. I hope that she's doing okay now. A lot of us here, we could have been married in this situation. We were very close to being married, or I know all of us know a Mary. So I'm so very sorry. Bear says, yeah, I know this man chased her across the street and killed the neighbor for helping her too. Yep, he absolutely did. Coward. Absolutely did. Yep. Thank you for coming by today.
Because this death is on my watch. It's on my watch. I'm the sheriff of this county. I'm responsible. 2 times this community voted me in this office because of the way I perform, because I hold people accountable. I've terminated over 75 employees since I've been here, investigated the whole agency under the PPP scandal. I'm not shy away from holding us accountable. I'm not shy about taking an aggressive tone when we fell. There's 2 million people in this county that are counting on us every day to do our job. I fight for the funding. I fight for the equipment. Now they have to fight for this community and perform, or they're not going to survive here. Terrell.
So, just for the record, how many administrative leaves for these deputies are tied to this past weekend, for one? And then 2, was there a delay in finding any of the victims on the morning that this happened? And then 3, any of the shortcomings tied to this Amber Alert, could this Amber Alert have been avoided if these shortcomings?
No.
He was asking if there was a delay in finding any of the victims that morning. And so the first calls came out around 6 a.m., right? And I'm not for sure when the Amber Alert came out, but they tracked and found Sarah and Nathan around 11 a.m. that morning, and then around 4 p.m. that day is when they announced that Mary had been found deceased with the neighbor.
I'll start and work backwards. So the Amber Alert, I didn't see any issues there. If something comes up over the next couple of days as our investigators are analyzing this more, we'll come back and talk about it. But on the surface, that was not an issue. As far as the shortcoming, all 7, this is related to the most recent call for service going back from October, December 29th, and of course, our response going out there on the tragic day. You had one other in the middle, and I lost it. What was your second one? Was there a delay in finding any of the victims on the morning that this happened? I think there was somewhat of a delay in terms of finding them, but the discovery aspect, if you look at it, she was fearful. She was running for her life. She's going from one spot location to the next. So that takes time to be able to discover exactly where is the incident location, where is the final resting place, unfortunately, for the victim. That, I'm not going to micromanage that, right? There's some things that just take time. That's just the nature of doing business. But what I won't shy away from is the shortcomings in terms of investigative practices.
NorCal Jim said, this officer is owning his responsibilities, in my opinion, not something you hear every day from Ellie. You don't. And that's why when I was talking to B Crumbs about it, I said, I'm excited that this has taken place and he is doing this. And then I said, well, excited isn't really the right word. But she understood what I was saying, though, that it's about time that that law enforcement starts to do this. So hopefully we can prevent things like this in the future.
At the officer level and the detective level. And by the way, this investigation will include every single administrator from the captain to district commander all the way down. No one is going to get a pass on this. And if anyone falls short, they will not survive this.
Sheriff, you gave a
Here.
message to the community and to women. Do you have a message for the families?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a devastating time for them. And it's hard to stand here non-emotional, and forgive the profanity that I dropped momentarily. It's very difficult because I hold these people close to my heart when they die. I read every report. I look at every single tragedy. And I'm a human being like everyone else in this room. And when I know we could have done better and we didn't do better, and this wasn't a matter of not properly funded or all these other things that historically has just failed this community, this isn't it. This is just individuals not doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm regrettably sorry to bring that to this family because they're hearing this right now. And it doesn't bring any solace to them. It only hurts them even more. Because I'm basically saying we had a chance to save your loved one's life and we failed.
That's what I put on my thumbnail, you guys. His quote there, that we had a chance to save your loved one's life and we failed. So you never hear that. I think that's the only time that I've ever heard that from law enforcement, actually.
One more, you broke up a little bit.
You talked about two specific cause-based investigations. Do you know how many cause-based investigations you received from the home or the victim totality?
No, but that'll be part of the overall investigation. I can tell you, looking at the notes and bullet points that came through, it looked like dozens of calls for services over a span of a couple of years, where it's just been one conflict after the next, whether the husband's reporting the wife, now she's reporting him, and so on and so forth. But it is a robust amount of calls for service. Abnormal.
Could you please clarify how he had the guns, when the guns were taken, when they were given back, and were the guns that he used or the gun on Sunday morning?
I honestly couldn't answer all that because we're running two things here, right? There's a homicide investigation that have to get all the factual elements together related to weapons used, crime scene, all those different complexities. So I don't want to navigate into that realm. And then the second side of it is that you talked about was whether or not when we issued the guns back, there's a timeline that was assessed on, and it was in compliance with the courts, right? I know our general counsel was involved in that. There was, information going back and forth as to whether or not we can release the weapons, should we release them? And at the end of the day, we had the legal obligation to return those weapons back.
But when does policy say you take them back after the second injunction?
There's a lot of varying things there, right? It's not a policy element in terms of when you take it back, because when we do our risk protection orders and we're following these things, the courts are also involved in that process, right? So The biggest thing I look at is, did we follow all the procedural elements to submit this one in a timely manner? Was the document in which we submitted comprehensive enough where a judge, whether it be a warrant or anything else, would analyze it and look at it and say, this is thorough enough, let's move forward? And I don't see that happening. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to wait for my investigators to come forth and bring me another information.
Was a risk protection order filed, or should it have
That you're going through theoretical hypotheticals, right? I have to get the facts lined up first before I can make a decision and tell you with 1,000% certainty, yes, it should have. When my investigators come to me and they say, yep, Sheriff X, Y, and Z should have been done, it wasn't done, then I'll have a better answer for you. I'll take one more. I saw something over here, maybe. Any names, information, stuff like that you need, Vita will give you guys a printout for it. And like I said, if we have to come back, we'll come back. To the community, I just want to leave them with some level of assurance, just letting them know that we understand where our shortcomings were in this incident and that we're going to get them right. Thank you.
So what do you guys think after watching that? Do you think that we'll ever get the full story about what happened here and what shortcomings there really was here? I'm not so sure. I mean, it does look good, and he says he has fired 70 people since he's been the elected sheriff there. So, I don't know. I think that there was one thing that I found right while I was looking at my phone to get something else. I think that there is more footage that came out today. Okay, yeah, I'll come back and get you guys. And then we'll talk about something good before we leave. Let's see, I think it says video shows woman running for help. Remember that one video we saw? It showed Nathan with little Seraphine running behind him, but I think this shows Mary.
And good
Oh, let me turn us down.
evening. Off the top at 6 tonight, chilling new video that you'll only see on Local 10 News.
Is your roof leaking? I'm Paul. Give me a call.
Oh, man.
Residential roofing, commercial roofing, roof repairs. I'm Paul. Give me a call for your free estimate today. For any emergency roof issues, we're open 24 hours.
From the morning, a young mother, her father, and a neighbor were gunned down by the woman's estranged husband in Tamarack. The three murders taking place in...
Oh my gosh, you guys, that was the clearest one that we've seen so far. There was did you see that little baby running? Oh my gosh, you guys, big warning on this one. This is the clearest one that we've seen so far.
In front of the couple's 4-year-old daughter, who was caught in the middle of all of that chaos.
And we must warn you, this new video could be hard to watch for some. We begin with Local 10's Andrew Perez live in Tamarack with the exclusive. Andrew.
You know, the video you're about to see, it is disturbing. It's horrific, but it's also the sad reality of domestic violence that happens every single day all across this country. And the family wanted to speak out because they feel too many people have become numb to it.
I just woke up out of the sleep and there's gunshots and screams.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to hear as neighbors dial 911.
A lady was knocking really hard on my door, running in the street with a little girl.
Mary Gingles runs for help to get away from her ex-husband. Nathan Gingles just shot and killed her father, say deputies. He chases her now, taking aim at one point. Their 4-year-old daughter running behind them, house to house, until they find a neighbor who helps.
I didn't know why that poor woman had to endure what she had to endure. And I didn't know why that terrible travesty, that nightmare that she must have been living, landed on our doorstep.
That neighbor was George.
Oh, I'm glad that we watched this, you guys, because this is Andrew Ferrin's uncle. So I'm glad he has somebody speaking for him too. Mary has her uncle and her uncle Frank, which is her dad David's brother. So he's speaking up for them. So I'm glad that Andrew has somebody to speak up for him too here.
George David's nephew, Andrew Ferrin, 36 years old, a big part of a close family.
I honestly believe that Andrew was the best part of all of us. He didn't come from a traditional marriage. We all raised him. I can't have my nephew become a footnote in a tragic scenario, and it is a tragic scenario.
Nathan allegedly shooting and killing Ferrin at his home alongside his ex-wife, Mary. Nathan's daughter, Serafina, was found physically unharmed. We've learned, though, since Nathan's arrest about the dozens of domestic violence calls against him, about the restraining order, the divorce, horrific allegations of domestic abuse, how the system failed Mary, one that prompted the suspension of 7 BSO deputies. David's saying domestic violence is an epidemic that he feels people are numb to.
I need there to be changes in the law. I need to know that if he had to be killed, unnecessarily in some kind of tragic, weird event, and he's an individual that was.
Yeah, I don't want his story to be lost. Bear says Andrew was a good man. He lost his life to help her. That's exactly right. And somebody else, I don't know if they were scared to open the door, but she went to somebody else's door first, or if they just couldn't get to it in time. But that's why she ended up going to Andrew's house. And look, you guys, here's the picture of him. I told you guys that he was a coach to his nephew's baseball team. I think it was baseball. Okay, Brad, I hope you have a good day. Thank you for coming by. That's why I wanted to talk about Andrew to you guys, because Bear is right. I don't want him to get lost in this. He was trying to be a hero too.
Just known for helping people, and this law can help someone. I would like to honor him with that.
And the first thing that has to happen is identifying all the things that went wrong here. By all accounts, experts say that Mary Gingles did everything right. Meanwhile, little Serafina, we know that she is with the state, but family is involved working to get custody. That's the latest here in Tamarack. I'm Andrew Perez, Local 10 News.
Gut-wrenching video. Thank you, Andrew.
Oh my goodness, you guys. I was looking at something else and I saw that and added it right quick. And so that was the worst one so far. But I hope that they do another press conference, and I hope that they're transparent with their FOIAs. Usually Florida is. But I hope that they really are in this situation, because like I told B Crumbs, I don't necessarily want to see and hear everything or share it with you guys, but I want there to be accountability and transparency in this situation. So very sad, you guys. Okay, before we leave, I want to leave us with something good. January the 8th, there was I believe that it was in North Carolina. It was a deputy was chasing armed robbery suspects, 4 of them, and he ended up crashing his car. And it was two men. Well, it was a man and his 17-year-old son. It was Curtis Blanton and his 17-year-old son, Pete. They had been, I don't know if they were at home or driving around, but they heard it on their scanner. And I think that it was Cleveland County, and I believe it was North Carolina. And they had just buried Curtis's wife, and I believe it was Pete's mama that day, you guys. She had lost her battle to cancer, and they had buried her that day. So they were just doing, father and son type stuff, and they heard it on the scanner. And they went and saved. This is Deputy Robert Taylor and his K-9 officer Thanos, and they had Deputy Taylor had gone off the road and he struck a tree, and he had made it out of the vehicle, and I believe it was him that called for help, and that's who Curtis heard. And so him and Pete went to go see if they could help, and they actually saved Deputy Taylor's life. pulled him away from the vehicle, and they got Thanos out of the car. You guys, this is pictures of the car afterwards. So if they hadn't been, even though that Deputy Taylor got out of the car, if he hadn't been moved away, he would have surely lost his life too, you guys. They do. They sure do. You guys know that my pets would be overweight, if anything, you know. So I'll share this video with you guys. Let me see. This is and so this was January the 8th, and this was just 3 days ago, I think. This is Deputy Taylor, and some ladies at the church had went and seen him, and they shared that on Facebook. And then they let me show you guys this. Well, that's not the right one. I'll show you guys this video. Oh yeah, this is it. Hang on, it's loading. So this is where they, after he had been severely hurt, you guys. It says he suffered severe injuries, and then they had built him all the officers had built him a ramp at his house, so that's good. And I'll show you guys the video now. Let me see here. Click, click, click. So even though that Curtis and his son had such a they still were able to do this, and I don't believe in coincidences. I believe it was his wife Cindy that had a hand in this too, you guys. Bear says, "Hey Mo, you know Sebastian's mom done an interview, didn't you?" Yeah, I seen that. And today, you guys, it is the year of Sebastian's disappearance, so I am still praying for him. Although that I don't speak on his case anymore, because I don't feel like I can help with all of the craziness that is surrounding his case, I do still pray for him, and I ask you guys to pray for him too, and all of his parents. I feel like all of his parents have done mistakes, and like all parents do, but I hope they get the chance to make it up to Sebastian. I hope he gets home and safely, and that they all can make it up to him. I'll share this with you guys too.
Hitting a tree head-on during a high-speed chase of 4 armed robbery suspects, this Cleveland County patrol car quickly burst into flames. Inside, Deputy Robert Taylor and K-9 Thanos. Not far away were Curtis Blanton and his son, Pete.
We was just out being father and son last night and ended up being in the right place at the right time.
Curtis heard the crash over a police scanner, and while mourning the loss of his own wife, who he laid to rest earlier that day, Curtis and his son raced to the scene and found Deputy Taylor on the ground outside his vehicle, badly hurt and unable to move. Curtis and Pete pulled him away from the flames and got Thanos out of the burning car too.
Didn't hesitate one bit. They lay their lives on the line for us every day. That's the least that we could do for them. We wasn't worried about the repercussions if the car blew up or whatever happened. We just wanted him safe.
Patrol Commander Captain Justin Edders shared these photos.
Oh, that's awful looking at, you guys. And Curtis was right. They put their lives on the line every day for us. So he's absolutely right. And so I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, you guys. I save good stories when I see them to share with you guys, and just choose one. And this one last time it was I was talking about Sophia Franklin, who was pregnant and missing, and the good story that week was about a pregnant lady that had been found months later and states away safe, and in this one it was about people doing the right thing and helping police officers. So that's kind of crazy how it's kind of serendipitous, isn't it?
photos of the police cruiser taken not long after the crash, indebted to the Blantons for their bravery.
We thank them. We appreciate them. We love our community. They support us, and a lot of love and respect for them. And we really appreciate them and what they did.
Captain Edders tells me Deputy Taylor had surgery today and is in good spirits. However, he will have a long and tough recovery ahead of him. For Curtis, it's not the recognition that matters, but hearing he and his son's action made a difference.
At the end of the day, that man's alive. And that means more than anything out here. Him and his partner.
In Cleveland.
What a story. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office tells us all 4 people in that police chase were caught and arrested. Police say they'll face charges in both Cleveland and Gatch.
Hitting a tree.
I hope that Deputy Taylor gets back to full recovery and Thanos so that they can go back to their job. So you guys, this was a lot today, but I'm gonna keep up with everything and hopefully we get more information out about this, and that everybody that did something wrong in Mary Gingles' case that could have prevented hers and David's and Andrew's deaths, I hope they're all held accountable. Van, will you drop your link, you guys? This is my friend Vanessa. It's Nature Rocks on here, and most of you guys know about her channel, but if you don't, she shares the most beautiful nature photos. And last week she shared her trees were blooming out, and what was that tree called, Vanessa? It looked so pretty. I was kind of thinking it was a cherry blossom, but I knew I was wrong about that. I think it takes them a bit longer though. Yep, there she is, you guys. So please subscribe to her and check in Maple. I don't know that I've ever seen a maple tree before. I know I have an oak tree in my yard though, right? And Vanessa I was sending her this video of these squirrels in my front yard, and she could just tell by the leaves. She told me what kind of tree it was, and I said, yeah, it has these nuts that has little hats on them out that it puts off. And she said, she said acorns. Yeah, acorns, that's what it was. So she could just tell by the leaves, and I didn't even know what acorns were. Oh my goodness, you wouldn't think that I was raised in the holler, would you? Oh my goodness, I've never been a nature person really, but I've been trying to get into it more. And Vanessa posts the most beautiful pictures, and she and it's not scary. Like, she shows pictures of little critters and they're not so scary, and she's always teaching you stuff. Brad, do they? I think I've just seen one from far away, and then I always get confused with those and Bradford pears. They kind of look alike, don't they? And neat. Don't be jelly. Don't be jelly of all my knowledge. I only know what Vanessa teaches me. Oh. All right, you guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me today, and thank you to my mods that are my BFF friends and coming and helping me today too. And thank all you guys for coming and hanging out with me today. And keep an eye on my community tab, and hopefully I can give some good updates before our next live. Okay, and don't forget to say your prayers and take your vitamins too, guys. Okay, we're almost to where we can get real vitamin D and don't need our vitamin D to take it by mouth so much. But always ask your doctor and don't sue me and stuff like that. Yeah, like Jim says, let the sun shine on your faces. All have a great day. Absolutely. All right, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.